Hey everyone, this is Arry again. This is the same series of panels that we did in partnership with TF Labs and Jonathan Blanco at his base down in Belltown. This was the second panel that we did, and it was around educators in Web3 and AI. It's a really, really great conversation. It was moderated by Nick Ellingson from the WTIA, the Washington Technology Industry Association, and it was with Brooke Riggio from Code Fellows and Professor Michael Turek from the University of Washington Tacoma's Milgard School of Business. It was really interesting. They were really cool to listen to. So I hope you really enjoyed this panel, and let us know if you have any suggestions or comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. Together we rise. Our next panel will be around educators in Web3 and AI. And we'll have Michael Turek, a professor from the University of Washington, Tacoma, Milgard School of Business. We'll have Brooke from Code Fellows, one of the co-founders and executives there. And then moderating the panel is Nick Ellingson from the WTIA.
FYI, low battery on this phone.
For everyone else, please come in and sit down. You don't have to come in. Very friendly panel here. Please, very friendly in the front. Sit in the front. Don't be shy.
In the classroom, we say the front row is where the learning happens.
Yeah.
That's where the learning happens.
Yeah, I will say, this is a panel of educators, so not sitting in the front row is...
And end up
Don't
calling
be
on
shy.
you.
This is your time. Grab a front row seat.
Well, folks, head over here. So, Aaron, remind me, we have until when for this panel?
You'll have about 35 minutes.
Cool. So to expound a little bit on my role at WTIA as I kind of kick off the panel, then I'll kick it to you two to introduce yourselves. So I mentioned I run our Advanced Technology Cluster program, and within the cluster program broadly, it is basically an economic development methodology that says bring together industry, government, academia, and investors, and you have the right ingredients to push an industry sector forward. And so excited to be seeing throughout the course of the day, you're kind of seeing all those different elements within the innovation cluster program. And so on this panel, we'll be talking about educators, which are obviously massive stakeholder in the innovation economy and also drive a lot of the future of that because they're educating the talent that we need to fill all these roles. WTA, we had our big conference yesterday, Full Contact, and some of the keynotes talked about how basically, the tech industry continues to create jobs at a pace that we cannot fill them with the local talent across the entire country. And so that means we need new educational models, things like Brooke's doing, and also means we need more students. And a thing that we focus a lot on too within the cluster is trying to improve both literacy and fluency for emerging technologies. So that means not only can you code in these languages and have deep subject matter expertise or PhDs, but also can anyone in this room just explain to someone who's interested what a quantum computer does and why we should care? Or what's an NFT and why should you care about the utility of it? That's a thing that we think that everyone should be able to talk about. And if we can, then we're gonna have a better innovation ecosystem overall. So before we dig into the panel, we'd love for you all to introduce yourselves. Let's go down the line. So Brooke, you first.
Sure thing. Brooke Riggio, I'm VP of Education with Code Fellows. Are we talking about background with blockchain stuff or?
Let's introduce yourself, maybe some background on kind of Web3, AI, and then talk a little bit about sort of the education model if there's, just define kind of how you're educating folks.
Great, yeah. So I've been paying attention to the blockchain space for a long time. I did not start mining Bitcoin in 2013 when my coworkers did, and I had the computer to do so in my shopping cart. I'm like, that's not going to go anywhere, is it? And but I was paying attention. I watched it closely. Got really excited about Ethereum. I'm like, oh, now we can actually write code on the blockchain as a software developer. That got me really excited. Until I heard you them say that you can't change it, it's immutable. I'm like, okay, that's never gonna work. Code always has to be changing. You gotta always be able to edit and fix bugs. And I'm like, that's dead in the water. But then I kept paying attention, and it kept growing and doing things. I'm like, all right, this stuff is too cool. Got to play around with it. So these days I do dabble in some NFT projects and a little bit of Solidity and some blockchain stuff on that side. But my day job is in education and helping, as I say, bring the beautiful breadth of humanity into the tech industry one way or another, and finding a way to train people from beginner to professional ready entry level software developers in cybersecurity. We teach with AI tooling and how the industry's responding to using AI, and we teach we teach Web3 technologies as well to get people onboarded into what's possible with Web3.
Fantastic. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Turek. I'm a teaching professor of business analytics at UW-Tacoma, the Milgard School of Business. That is my day and my night job. Also there, I direct some things. I direct our Master of Science in Business Analytics program, which is a 12-month, very intensive STEM master's degree program in which we teach students how to harness the power of data, all the way from data integration, developing or designing and implementing a database system, visualizing, processing that data, and drawing insights from it, being able to present those findings to stakeholders at all levels, and then have it create potentially predictive data models or prescribed solutions based on those insights. So essentially, our goal is to help populate, to our region and to the world, those translators in businesses between IT and stakeholders, right? How can we mutually understand each other's needs and really innovate and benefit for good to meet the objective and empower those to, again, provide those findings and solve to their stakeholders. I also direct our Center for Business Analytics, which is the arm of the Milgard School of Business that connects with basically with organizations, our students, and researchers in the South Puget Sound primarily, but looking to hopefully expand that with the latest in business analytics.
And maybe real quick from both of you, who are your students? What do they typically look like, or where they're typically from? Where are they at in their careers? So I know both of you work with a broader group than just like, oh, they just graduated high school. And here they are.
Excellent. Yeah, our course direct students are 25 to 35 from all different kinds of backgrounds, folks who want to get into the tech industry, maybe put their career ladder up against the wrong wall, we might say, and topped out and realize, oh, over there, that looks like it's got potential. People who are realize that they can get paid to use their problem-solving skills and really want to make a change. So that's our core. But we also take our same curriculum and we license with partners who can bring it into whatever schools, whatever communities they have. We have partners around the US and around the world who use our same curriculum, both in workforce retraining programs, as well as like community college level courses and high school curriculum as well. So all a broad range there.
Yeah, part of the excitement of directing the program is that we do have such a widely diverse group of students, traditionally year over year. We're generally comprised 50% international students from regions all over the world, all different levels of their career, right? And from all different past experiences. It's actually our goal, and I'll talk more about our applied project teams, but an ideal project team for us is someone, if we have a team of 5, someone that falls strong on the spectrum of business understanding but less technical, and someone at highly technical but maybe less business understanding or practical, whatever practical business experience is. So a widely diverse group. We also have a business data analytics minor program on campus that is open to all other majors and all other schools on campus, so it's a great opportunity for us to coordinate, collaborate with different degree programs, and we also have that student body directly from their undergrad also accessing and entering the MSBA program.
That's cool. It's like tack on a minor with any other, with a psychology degree or sociology degree.
Absolutely, 100%.
Data analysis.
Yeah, we have students from psychology, from sociology, from computer science, from marketing, pretty wide spectrum. So it's a lot of fun.
Also for the audience, so I have plenty of questions here to fill the time, but if you're like, I don't like Nick's questions, I have my own, raise your hand, I'll keep glancing around and happy to take some audience questions kind of interspersed. So digging into Web3 and AI, where does that currently fit within your curriculum and your priorities? And if there's if it's more of an emerging tech broadly you're thinking about, but just how are you thinking about some of these emerging technologies and how to implement them into curriculum and where you should sort of start?
You can go first, Dennis.
Yeah, no, absolutely, thank you. So where it currently fits in our curriculum, nowhere. That being said, how high of a priority is it? Top. The Center for Business Analytics, it's really our goal to position ourselves as doing some demystification of AI and really trying to, and there's a couple measures we do, which I'll talk about, but taking steps to really bring it to campus to be embraced and part of the demystification process instead of fear, right? Or seen as some sort of competition that's going to transform the education system, or we're sober or turn everybody into a cheater, right? Which is a big fear. So yeah, I'm very much in the exploration phase right now of what's the way that we integrate AI tools into our curriculum. Just for the sheer benefits as productivity tools, but B, we have to stay relevant. And as educators, I mean that's our responsibility to be as timely as possible to help create those students that have those outcomes that's going to best support the needs of businesses and communities.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we also look at those needs and really work backwards from the jobs that people are actually hiring for. And so with AI specifically, we see it sweeping through the software development and cybersecurity industry. So in our courses related to that, we show students how AI works in general, how to use it as a learning tool, how to use it as a technical tool in the field, and then how to integrate it into your own products that you create. So we kind of do like this four different dimensions of working with AI, but seeing it as a thing to reach for, a tool like the other panel was talking about. It's a tool that can solve some problems, and it's the right thing at the right time in that way. Same with blockchain tech. The tooling's there. When someone wants to work with that, we give them all that they need in support of making something happen. Just wish there was a lot more hiring happening with Web3 these days, but we'll probably, we're anticipating seeing that turn around, and we'll be ready to skill people up on those areas too.
So one of the reasons that I was excited about this panel is we're trying to figure out how we can be a resource more for educators in sort of helping think about what are the future jobs, what's hype and what isn't, kind of going back to the last panel and some of the stuff Lennox was talking about. So how do you account for the speed of development in AI, Web3 particularly? And how do you account for that, and what challenges does it create when you're thinking about what curriculum to provide or what training to provide?
Yeah, it's one of those.
That's
like,
a tough question.
Yeah, it happens slowly and then all at once with everything, right?
Yeah.
AI has been a buzzword since the 40s. Alan Turing, the inventor of like modern computing, was talking about AI like out of the gate, and there's always been levels and thresholds that we've crossed with that, and it's always AI is the buzz of what you think is going to happen, and machine learning is, or machine learning is what's actually happening now, right? And the stuff that we're actually doing, it's all just data analysis in the end, right? And so it's the understand, getting your hands on, using it. That's the key way to cut through the hype. See what it can actually do. Get your head around how it helps you, what real issues it can address. I think that's really key, and it was key for us in seeing how it fits in the curriculum. Like, well, let's start plugging things in and see how it works. But it is something that has its moments in the media, and it's everybody's understanding of it is downstream from the memes that are trending with what's happening. The way people are talking about it, whatever's getting shared the most on social media, is going to affect what people think about how it's all working. And the battle for real understanding is happening kind of at this level where we're now being responsive to that and saying, like, don't worry, it's not going to take over the world. You're going to be okay.
So Michael, maybe before we get to you on that, I want to double click on something. So maybe, because I think one thing that's interesting about you all is, you're providing training around blockchain, which is a thing that not many people are doing. So to maybe take us behind the scenes on what went into that process of deciding to actually do that, because you probably could have been like, no, we're going to train more web developers and call it a day. But
Yeah, it fits well with our existing web development curriculum, where you can add on and extend what you can do with web development when all of a sudden you can build apps on the web that talk to the blockchain, and it becomes one more type of database interface that can power your app. And we wanted to make sure that people had access to that. And I really do think the jobs are going to come back. And so we decided to build, anticipating being able to get people trained up on that and make sure that the workforce will be ready when the employers are ready to bring that into their companies.
I'll restate the question for you since I asked the second question.
Yeah.
So just how do you account for the speed of development when you're thinking about curriculum development and what courses to offer or what minors, majors to offer, that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So as all industries have their pros and cons, right? I think it's safe to say, being in higher education, I may be more critical of it than most actually, but historically it may be slow, right? Structured higher education, maybe for lack of a better term. But we're very much taking the approach, I want to key on something you said, just getting the hands on it and making it available for students, in our case, students, faculty, and staff to use and familiarize themselves. Right now, what we're doing is the Center for Business Analytics is actively creating an AI sandbox environment where we actually have dedicated hardware that we have available, and we have the licenses to a number we're going to continually add, the generative AI tools, and offer training sessions and host them there to gain that familiarity. When anyone on campus for all uses, right? I think that's going to be a key for us, in that demystification process that we all deal with probably, right? A key for us in getting that integrated into our curriculum and getting that passed in terms of the process that has to go through. So yeah, hands-on in providing that, basically bringing it home.
Way to make it happen. The barriers there, I'm sure, are huge to bring change, and I don't envy that position, but I'm glad you're doing it and fighting the good fight there. I enjoy being able to just build my own curriculum whenever I want. Yeah.
So I double-clicked on something you said, so I'm double-click on something you said too. When looking at sort of obviously it takes time to do that stuff and to create curriculum and all that. How can industry, particularly industry, but how can sort of the other stakeholder groups I talked about, industry meaning both enterprises and startups, investors, government, how does the rest of the ecosystem support you in figuring out what to develop? Hey, get this out quickly versus, it's gonna wait a couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. So we interface both the degree program and through the center heavily with local organizations in the area. And a couple of the ways that we do that, A is through our advisory board that we keep very actively with. And the other is through our one of the key components of our year-long curriculum is the year-long applied projects that students embark on, and where we actually pair a student team with an actual organization using their data to solve one of their business problems and help them achieve some sort of a minimum a digital enhancement, but hopefully a true digital transformation. So we get a lot of feedback and a lot of touch points through that process. It's highly interactive, and just in a year to solve a business problem is, I guess depending on the industry, that can be either really fast or size of the company or really slow. But we continually learn from that, and it gives us an opportunity to continually get feedback from that industry need. And also, as a business school, it is very supportive of innovation. So for us to bring these innovative tools, either it's our in the AI sandbox environment or to start incorporating them into as learning methodologies and learning tools, there is definitely a support there towards ultimately aiding students and businesses. So that support is there.
And I will, so a couple of just things for the audience. I will say we interviewed probably 15, 20 different colleges, universities, and they all said the same thing, which is we work a lot through advisory boards. So if you're looking to affect sort of change around curriculum in this, Is this a question or you're volunteering to do it? I already know you volunteered to do it. So
The
here's
more
some
the
of that kind of
merrier,
stuff.
by the
Yeah.
way.
Obviously, you have some people here you can come talk to, but also feel free to connect with me, and we work with a bunch of schools that we're trying to get more folks on advisory boards to help with that kind of stuff. I'm gonna skip down a couple questions because you mentioned something there that kind of goes to the literacy fluency thing I was talking about before. So what do you, for both of you, but start with Michael, because I think it's interesting being sort of on the business side and working on emerging technologies. What do you see as the role of academia or educators in increasing the sort of general literacy around emerging technologies? Not just the like, hey, can you go code in this, or do you have a PhD in this, but making sure accounting majors understand how blockchain is going to affect their world, or making sure how, name your major and how AI will affect it. So how do you think about kind of the general literacy across student body?
I maintain the perspective that we have a responsibility to incorporate and provide literacy based on industry demand as a business school, as opposed to, well, I don't think you can deny it. You know, you can't deny AI and the impact that's going to have. And the thing is, it's, you know, when you mention the different disciplines, it's where does it not apply, right? Even outside of business school, you know, I think about some of the other schools, or, you know, interdisciplinary areas in science. I mean, if at minimum as a productivity tool, it's going to have its place everywhere. And if our students have the ability, not just exposure to it, but there's a skill involved still with using these AI tools, right? There's a proficiency that you need to gain to use it truly effectively, like you do any other tool. And the better the university can equip our students to do that, the more competitive they're going to be in the marketplace, and the better instruments for change that they're going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the future is here, but it's not evenly distributed, right? This is a quote from a sci-fi author, and the truth is, like, you know, it diffuses very slowly through society, and I see my role in the mission of Code Fellows is to bring that awareness, that knowledge, that skill set into every community, and to help every community have their hands on shaping where the tech industry is going and what real problems the tech industry is solving. You know, I always say that we don't need more Silicon Valley startups that are doing things my mommy used to do for me, right? There's startups that drive you around and bring you food, and, you know, cook you dinner, and, you know, even there's even one that tried to send you quarters in the mail so you could do your laundry or whatever, right? You know, we have to solve some real problems, and we got to dig deeper into the communities of need. And I love the mention that Joe touched on refugee communities, and, you know, people around the world who are, you know, who have challenges in front of them where technology can bring amazing things to bear, but they don't have access to it, and they don't even understand that it could help. And so the more we can diffuse the technology into the hands of everybody and bring everybody into participation in these things, then the more we're going to be able to find the great use cases, like we're going to hear from the next panel, right? And be able to tackle things that are really going to make people's lives better.
So you're saying I have to start doing all my own chores again?
until the AI bot does it for you.
Sure. A similar one of my favorite quotes I heard on a podcast was that, like, VCs spent the last 15 years basically subsidizing the millennial lifestyle, which I'm very grateful for. But similar quote, and everyone's making a chuckle.
Too true.
Any questions from the audience before I keep down this track? Go there and then there. Right here.
So, you work at UWT, there's obviously, we're here in Seattle, the main campus is just up there.
Yep.
Does the Foster School of Business have a similar, like, philosophy? Is this just the satellite campuses that are prioritizing these sorts of innovative opportunities, that sort of thing?
That's a great question, and I'm gonna bow out of that one gracefully. I can only speak for what we're doing.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar, and I can't speak for what UW, for the Foster School of Business and what their take and what they're doing on it. But we very much, even as it's funny, we don't think of ourselves as a satellite campus. We think of ourselves as a even though but we think about it's a standalone campus with its own mission. You know, it's an urban serving university in its own region.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll toot their horn for a little bit of just, we've met with a lot of schools trying to do a mix of things around emerging technologies, and we've done some guest lectures at Wazoo, and we've got connected with various advisory boards and stuff, and UW Tacoma was like, we met with one of their deans, and he was like, yeah, let's go do stuff. It's like, wait, are you sure we don't need like 12 other meetings before we do that? It's like, no, let's just go. So,
Yeah.
cheers to UW, but also you all are very nimble in how you're developing stuff too. So maybe talk about sort of similar kind
Sure,
of thing. Because
yeah.
we're just kind of maybe the philosophy around emerging tech, because again, like we're talking about, a lot of these training providers aren't necessarily doubling down.
Totally, yeah, and you know, CodeFellows has been in the Pacific Northwest for 10 years now as one of the really the first like intensive coding academy type thing outside of the traditional university structures that don't require $100,000 of student loan debt or whatever it may be. And we knew from the beginning, because we were founded by technologists, that technology is always changing and changing fast. And so what we did is we built in a process of adapting our curriculum continuously and not getting locked in. And we will never be accredited as a result, right? We can never say like, here's an accredited curriculum, because that process has a long life cycle and kind of locks you in on teaching what's been approved and whatnot. And so we opted instead to say, we're just going to be responsive to industry and treating our curriculum like software, where we're always updating it and revising it and refining. And that's let us stay in pace with industry demands as we've adapted to different technologies that rise and fall. And it keeps us, you know, internally we love it. We get to keep growing and learning and playing with new things. And then we get to build for companies that say, hey, we want to dig deeper on Web3 with this, and we can help get custom curriculum dialed in, or we want to use AI tooling as a part of retraining our developers at like a Fortune 1000 company, and we can build that course in a way that really fits what their needs are and what's kind of right in alignment with where they're wanting to go.
Cool. You had a question?
Yeah. So I actually belong to Foster School of Business. I'm like
Oh.
second year full-time MBA at Foster School. I'm in the middle of studying right now. I actually came back from class. So most of the time what happens in terms of AI is it's still kind of a side note when it comes to MBA. The two ways that we study MBA is one with the help of business cases, where the AI is kind of built in, and the second is some kind of elective courses. But still there's only one elective course that I could find, and most of the other places, if I truly want to learn, I have to come to conferences or I have to come to speaker note sessions to really learn about AI. And Web3 is not even a discussion point right now, to be honest. So because you both belong to academia, I wanted to learn from you how to really incorporate this probably faster and how to make that cycle faster.
So yeah, so it sounds like the question is, as a current student, how do you find more resources to develop some of these skills quicker, understand these technologies more? Are there things that maybe, essentially something you could take back to Foster, but also, you know, what are other tools either that you're developing or are aware of? What are their conferences? Just what would you recommend for a student trying to learn more and get a little bit deeper? Did that
Yeah.
encapsulate? Okay, that's
Yeah, no, absolutely. I guess before I give a specific response, I think about that. I guess more as a philosophical response with our degree is we're very supportive and we're strong advocates for students to seek outside resources outside the degree program as well. You know, we regularly give referrals to, you want additional practice or additional resources for Python, you know, for SQL. We pack a lot into a 12-month program. It's like this fast-speeding train where students, after they're done, they're like, okay, first of all, I have weekends again. What do I do with that? Yeah, so, and I think, and also, I mean, you know, there's so many, anyone in academia is naive to say, oh, there's no good resources out there outside of the university world. There are amazing free resources or low-cost resources available. I mean, the knowledge sharing that we have in you know, today is amazing, even from back when I was in my undergrad, from I won't tell you how long ago. But it's just that's incredible. So 100% advocate for that. Aside from, I guess, giving specifics at this point. But
Sure. Yeah. I think generally speaking, it's important to understand that we are always ultimately responsible. We teach ourselves what we do. Everything we've learned, we've put ourselves in that position. We've been open to learning. We are only our own teachers in that sense. Now, we can always find ways to expose ourselves to new things. And you've got yourself, in the classroom at Foster Business School. That's great. Like you're putting yourself there, but it's still up to you to sit down, take notes, open your brain, and like put that information somewhere, right? And so I think that's always going to be the heart of learning is growth mindset, the resilience and grit to dig in and struggle through things that don't make sense. That is learning, and you can create that environment for yourself in any way. And there's absolutely so many resources out there.
Yeah, I mean, also professional associations. We work closely with MSBA program, and this is a big goal of mine as director now. I want to really expand the offering and increase that network. Right now, we work closely with Informs. We work a bit with PMI, but we really want to expand that. And it's not just for knowledge base, real experiential knowledge outside of the classroom, but for networking opportunities. I mean, those are so great. It's fantastic. I'd say it's to any prospective student, it's essential nowadays. Yeah.
The next app I want to build will use AI to create a podcast about whatever you want to learn about. So you put in a topic, you play it in the car when you're driving somewhere, you get a kind of on-demand learning. And I want to talk more about that. I don't know what the next question is.
So I will say, I just finished an executive MBA at CLU, and we were similar. We had a class on information systems where we kind of dug into some of this. So I'd say also like your peers are probably good resources, but starting point is you're here, so that means you'll get at least our newsletter. I assume probably the TFs as well. Recommend coming to TF events, WTA events, other people here do events. Depending on kind of the level of knowledge, like you could take some classes from Code Fellows and do some things. Arry teaches classes on Web3, so there's a lot. It depends a little bit kind of on. It's like, am I trying to get reports to understand this? Am I trying to learn how to code in this? But I'd say, in general, for folks trying to get more engaged in these industries, particularly in Seattle, it's coming to this kind of stuff. If you come to 6 of these events, you'll feel like you know everyone. So, which is great. But it also can be tough to tap into some of those resources if you aren't attending some of these events, because we're a very who you know town for better or worse. Yeah.
I wanted to add to that because I would have never learned any of this stuff if I hadn't just happened on this space by accident. And I met so many different people here and learned a lot about how it might be helpful for the business that I'm trying to start. But also, I've been to this space with other people from Foster School, really smart founders who walked through here and couldn't figure out what this was about. They just didn't understand it. And some of this is still very, esoteric. It's just not accessible.
Yeah.
And still too new for people to even contextualize it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think that is a problem.
It's definitely a big problem. That's a lot that me, Arry, Brittany, many of this work on is trying to figure out how to communicate that better. We do a lot of work of basically like, how do we translate emerging tech to policymakers, which has its own unique challenges. Yeah. But there's a lot of similar, like, what's the right information to give to anyone? What are the reports we should be doing, and what should we focus on? So if there's information you're looking for, let us know. Maybe we can go find it, or at least add it into the roadmap of things we want to do. All right, so last question, because I know we're at time, so we'll make this a short one, but if you could this is one of those magic wand questions. So if you could wave a magic wand, what would you do to create sort of the optimal educational state, or what's the big problem you would fix around sort of training more people in emerging technologies? And I'll let you define training how you want.
Me first?
Go for it.
Okay. In a perfect world, there's an open-mindedness and a policy that supports making fast change that keeps up with change in industry in higher academia.
Yes, please.
We're pushing. UW Tacoma, we're pushing.
Great. Love it. I'm trying to talk a little bit about the vision I see for what education will become when it's really powered by AI, what AI can do, right? Because what AI can give you is deep customization to you and your background and your previous experiences, right? So you can then imagine that you can get a personalized coach or tutor who can walk you through any given subject when that skill set is broken down into its component pieces, laid out as a curriculum that the AI can feed to you with informational lessons, videos, quizzes, things like that to help you learn it until you demonstrate that you've learned it, and then you move on to the next one. And you can work your way through a map of whatever skills you want to acquire with this customized assistant. And that could be on a laptop or on your mobile phone, or you put a Vision Pro on and someone pops up in your window like a Mr. Rogers visitor or something, right? And gives you the next piece of wherever you are in your mapping, right? And then those skills then can be recorded to the blockchain and verified as you've achieved it. And you can show that off with provenance of saying like, yeah, I've got the skill and I can highlight it, I've got the NFT to prove it, or whatever it may be, right? So I think the future of education is really going to shift with on-demand, personalized, like deeply customized to you and your background. You'll be getting analogies about how Web3 works for you because you have a background as a baker, and they'll explain it in those terms, or as a swimmer, or whatever it may be, and you'll be able to have a culturally responsive education that can be deeply personalized and powered by AI.
Definitely gonna go look up, explain blockchain to me as a baker and check.
Yes, the answers are great.
Well, that, thank you all for listening. Hopefully this is interesting. Thank you both for
Thank you
jumping
very
on the
much.
panel. And
Stuck inside.